War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We always tend to be heavy on the Auburn sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're a member of the Auburn family, fan of another persuasion. We appreciate you stopping in with us to hang out with us, whether it's live or on the replay, just for even a few minutes of your special hard-earned time. On this live stream, we're going to be discussing Auburn baseball and softball, the diamond sports of spring, and it has sprung, for the most part, here in the South at least. We're going to be discussing the week that was with Auburn baseball taking on LSU and Auburn softball taking on the Florida Gators, the mighty number 7 Florida Gators. Interesting storylines from both of those to really kind of dive into for the most part. It's controversy as well. I want some feedback on what you guys thought about all that as well. We're going to discuss all that on this live stream. That's what is fair game here. And before we get started, though, as we always want to do, give you a chance to check in with us. Our check-in session right now in the comments section. Post where you're watching from, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter in the comments. Right with a War Eagle, where you're watching from, City, State, International, all that good stuff. And make sure you smash that like button, share button, retweet button. It does help the stream out, helps us grow, helps our little family within the Auburn family get a little bit bigger each and every time we get together. Got a little housekeeping stuff that we'll take care of in just a little bit, though. Don't want to bore that with you right now. Want to jump into at least some information about what our topic's about, but we'll get into some housekeeping stuff that's coming up for this weekend with 8A, but also some stuff to expect this week on the channel. With that being said, let's take a look and see who all is here already. Linda, one of our channel members and Booster Club members. A lot of our dual membership people are here already. Linda, good to see you. Neil, Devin, Dusty from the car. Be careful driving, my friend. I appreciate you tuning in, but careful driving on those roads home at night. Want to make sure you get there safe. Good to see a good crowd already assembled here tonight. So I want to always start off with you guys. What do you want to know and what do you want to discuss within the week that was Auburn baseball and softball? Just to kind of set the table for everybody to know what you're working with. I've got it all written down. See, that's the thing is when you do post-game shows for football, basketball, you're covering one game. We're technically covering a whole week's worth of games. We focus really on the weekend series here, but 4 games for these teams each this week. Auburn baseball dropped a heartbreaker midweek to JSU 2-5, but went on the road to LSU and took down the mighty Bayou Bengals in a 2-1 series win for them. Overall record now 20-7, 4-5 in the SEC. Softball, a little bit of an inverse, won during the middle of the week against Alabama State, but sadly dropped a series at home to the aforementioned number 7 Florida Gators 1-2, and had an opportunity to win all of the games, to be honest with you. They had themselves in a position to win each and every one of theirs. Their record now is 29-6, 7-5 in the SEC after their hot start in SEC competition. So that is what we have to discuss. The big thing is the historic nature of the baseball series going down to Baton Rouge for the first time in a long time, and getting a series win there. What that means, obviously, for history standpoint, but also what it could mean for the rest of the difficult season for baseball. But also, there was this controversy that I started getting wind of yesterday as I was getting home from a trip to Alabama, of the Florida head coach for softball deciding that he was going to get into a jaw match with some fans from Auburn in the stands. Interesting. Right or wrong, I don't know. I do know that the unwritten rule there is, if you're a player, a coach, you don't address the stands. Was there something that was said over the line? I wasn't there. I can't attest to that, but that is pretty much the unwritten rule at this point. Let's see here. Talk to us about the situation with the Florida head coach. I did not see what happened. I think that's probably the thing that most people want to get to first, so we can discuss that a little bit. And I'd love to know some of y'all's impressions on that event. What happened? What's your takeaway from it? I think obviously this being an Auburn-based channel and obvious us having our orange and blue glasses on, we're obviously going to jump over to the side of Auburn and the side of the fans and things like that. And from my understanding, what I know about the situation so far, it pretty much was more of the Florida guy, the Florida head coach, not being able to take some, shall we say, critiques coming from the stands, as they always do in every game. But there's a history with this head coach for softball. Essentially, what happened, there was a blown call. He got in the ref's face. The fans were giving it to him, and then he continued to get in their face from a little bit of a distance through the mesh and all that kind of stuff. I think the baseball cap guy that you'll see, or softball cap guy, go to both baseball and softball and lead cheers, was involved in that. It was pretty interesting. I watched replays of it, and most of the replays just show the altercation, the yelling back and forth between the fans and the coach. I didn't really see what led up to it, what happened after it. But I do know that this coach has had a history of being a bit of a hothead, shall we say. He's been involved in things. Ironically, now I got to remember where to point, in this poster right back here, this girl right here, Haley Fagan. I know that looks like I'm making a bad gesture there, but I'm just trying to point. Haley Fagan, the far one on the end there, got into a little bit of a post-game altercation with him last time. Now, there was some bad blood family history with the Fagans that went along with that, and you could probably make a case that from the vantage point of that video from a couple seasons back, she probably was the one that instigated it, but he probably didn't also take enough measures to make sure it didn't escalate from there. Yes, Neil, I did see that we've been getting a lot of those lately. I don't know if that's a sign that we're reaching more people or stuff like that, but they're really getting into the streams and onto the videos, making comments like, so I've banned that one. So yes, we've had one of those. Let's see here. I was there, and the coach seemed to want somebody to jump over and fight. He just kept on and on and on. What was he upset about? That's what I really want to know. Like, what was the call? It was hard for me traveling through the boonies of Alabama trying to get back to Georgia, piece together post game what actually happened. What was the call that he was upset about? Because in the context of the situation, so Auburn had won the game one, Florida had won game two, and they'd survived a comeback by Auburn to potentially win the series. And so they're in a tight situation there in a game where Florida only wins 3-0, where you're trying to get this series, very important series win for both teams. One on the road, one obviously at home for Auburn. And you can understand how tempers would flare, especially with the supposed hothead head coach. So it did, from my vantage point, seem like he was looking for a fight with somebody. Thomas, good to see you. They were pretty close, not that far apart. A lot of people asking what the call was. I missed the play, was too busy talking. Listen, calls in all sports, in baseball and softball, are so subjective at times. It could have been an absolutely correct call, and he just wanted to have something to argue about, or it could have been a bad call. Auburn has been the recipient of some pretty bad referee calls of late, in baseball especially, so it's not a foreign concept to us. But here's what I do know, is that the look of the situation does not bode well on the coach. You always assume when you see a player or a coach engaging with the fans that it's on them, because it doesn't. You're just because that is a reactionary thing. Typically, it's not out of proactivity, which you should never be doing anyway. So whether right or wrong, maybe something said was wrong from the stands, you shouldn't be reacting to it. If it's that big of a deal, if it's that big of a problem, there are officials, even though it was in Auburn, that will take care of that situation for you. Send one of your people up to talk to them and have them escort the fan out, or ask them to sit down and not say anything else, or they'll be asked to leave. It was a bad situation. They finally sent a security person to sit at the corner between the fans and the dugout. I bet. I bet they did. It was probably a wise decision, because if he really was going on and on about it, he probably was more protection for the fans than anything else, just to keep them from engaging in a guy that just didn't want to let something go. But the fact of the matter is that Florida walks away with a win. And Auburn softball has really shifted the storyline lately. They have not been able to um, capitalize off of some situations they had put themselves in, especially in late series situations. Kentucky and Florida now back to back. That doesn't mean that they're a bad team or that they're not playing well. It's just there's opportunities for this team to overachieve in a lot of people's minds, and they've just missed out on those opportunities. It was very sad. I'm all for tear gassing Florida fans. Good to see you, Kyron. Thanks for joining in on the discussion tonight. It's like, what's the equivalent of turning the hoses on Georgia fans for Florida fans? Do we get out leather bags and like shake them around or something like that? Or what's used to make leather bags? Is it like a special tool we can like brandish and like in a non-threatening way, but make them, feel like they're going to be skinned or something like that because they're gator skins, all that. Yeah, that was a long way home for that bad joke, but there it was. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with the rest of the series. Obviously, they'll have I think Georgia State coming up this week at home, which you would expect to be a win for the Tigers going forward. Trying to get down to the rest of their schedule here so I can give you guys an update on what's going on. The rest for them, let's see. Yeah, Georgia State at home, and then we'll head to Arkansas for Fayetteville to take them on. And it's not listed here whether that's ranked or not. You can view that on SEC Network Plus. Billy Clubs, tear gas, it's all the same. TOSA seems I missed quite a bit during softball. It's hard, man, to keep track of all of the stuff during spring sometimes. So I get it, and this is one of those time periods where basketball is just getting done. Spring football's there. Softball and baseball are going on. If you follow track and field, tennis, that's still going. It is one of the busiest times of the year for Auburn athletics. And after tonight, and I hope you guys are using this to get you carried over to a very late start for the national championship game tonight. It can get a little bit much to and you'll miss out on things like that, but we'll all direct our attention to baseball and softball a lot here once this game is over tonight and some spring football gets done this next week. Speaking of which, let me do that. We're going to keep talking about softball and baseball. Let me go ahead and take care of the housekeeping. This weekend, I will be in Auburn Friday and Saturday, possibly Sunday, but definitely Friday and Saturday at the game. I will most likely be at the baseball game Friday night. I will be at the tennis match probably Friday. This is all tentative. So stay tuned for all that. Saturday, 8A Tiger Walk. We are doing it at I think the Tiger Walk's like 11:15 or something like that. You guys can clarify for me. We'll be going live. Wi-Fi prohibited or provided there. But we're also going to be doing a meetup at 11 a.m. at the very beginning of Tiger Walk. I have been told that the banner will be out for the players that you typically see at Tiger Walk. That is where I always am, or right by it. I will be at the very beginning. I'm told it'll be closer up to the front to the beginning of the baseball stand. But look for that. If you are a Booster Club member, if you're a channel member here, if you're just a follower of us on social media, come on out. I would love to meet you in person. I will be there. Come say hello, hang out a little bit after, and just shake some hands and hugs and all that kind of stuff if you feel comfortable with that. So there's that, and I'll get to this in just a second, Brody. The other thing is we're going live tomorrow night. Austin's back. We're going to break down the entirety of the basketball season now that all the basketball is done. So same time tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, be here for a live stream with me and Austin. And we'll take your comments and questions. And I forgot to mention this earlier. Speaking of comments and questions, Booster Club members, you do have access to the exclusive call-in link tonight. The headphones are on. So that means somebody can call in. Booster Club members, check that link out in the Patreon app /website, and you can call in if you would like to tonight. No pressure. It's there if you need it. Brody, I didn't keep up with softball series Florida whatsoever, or Florida. I did watch Auburn and LSU's baseball series. I got you. I know it's hard to type sometimes, the whole autocorrect. It gets confusing for me trying to read it and piece together sometimes. But yes, we can talk a little bit about the LSU series. Very important series for Auburn in many aspects. Let's talk about the historical aspect of it. 2011 is the last time that Auburn went down to Baton Rouge and beat and won the series. That's a long time. Not as long as a football drought in LSU or at LSU. That was squashed this year, finally. So apparently, the 2021-22 academic athletic calendar year was the year of ending streaks in LSU for Auburn athletics programs. I don't know. Go figure. Maybe it's something in the water this year. But it has ended as the Tigers get a much-needed win on the road in LSU. Why is it much needed? Because of the way the rest of their schedule is set up for the entirety of SEC play. Vanderbilt is going to be at home, and I'm pulling all the way down because I think they've got it listed here, what I'm using to reference here of their rankings. Does it? Yes, number 2 Vanderbilt for 8-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, obviously with, weather provided. Speaking of weather for this 8-day weekend, I won't call it amazing, but I think it's much better than sweating it out in the middle of the day in 8-day game and baseball games for that matter with like high 80s. It's going to be on Saturday, 60 is like the max. So it's going to be a little bit chilly in the morning. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but yeah, it'll be fun to be at good weather, to not over sweat. Just have to wear a light jacket in the morning so you can take it off when you get in the heat out there. Thomas, thank you so much. Glad you're utilizing those emojis. If you, great segue here, want to have access to those emojis, if you want to have access to those icons next to your name, you can become a channel member here. $1 a month is all it takes. You get access to those things. It's easier, like Thomas was utilizing. The toilet paper roll, the eagle, the peacock. I don't know how long we'll have the peacock up there, but it's there from time to time. I'll try to give you guys some other things to use, maybe a Tumor's lemonade, stuff like that. We'll see. But those are the things that you can use if you want to be a channel member. Looks like we got one of our Booster Club members calling in. You love him, Mr. Dusty. Your screen's black, but I hear something in the background. Are you there? There you are. You there, man? Hello?
You're good, bud?
I
have a hard time closing the YouTube app out.
That's all right. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm full of corn dogs. I'm full of them. I've been eating them all year.
Have you had your fill of beating LSU this year? Because let's think, we beat them in basketball, men's basketball. We, took the streak away in football. We went down there and got a series win, first time since 2011 in baseball. And I feel like we beat them. We didn't beat them in gymnastics, but hey, we can't get everything right. You've had your fill of beating LSU this year.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I mean, you got the big 3. So as far as baseball, football, and basketball. So,
yep.
And I'm pretty sure I could be completely off on this. The women's basketball, I feel like we were really, really close. Like they beat us by 2 or 3 points, because I know we had like 10 losses that were all by less than 5 or something like that. Like,
yeah,
on the women's side. So I feel like we played them pretty hard over there, and they've got one of the best coaches and all that. So yeah, it's a year of us owning them, and it's a beautiful thing. I hope it continues, because it's 2 in a row already in football. They haven't beat us in Auburn, I want to say, since Ben Simmons in basketball. Or maybe that was in Pete, but in one of the arenas we have a streak on them. And I didn't know anything about us not winning down there until 2011. If you remember in baseball, and if you remember my podcast with Heath, he talked about that being one of the toughest atmospheres he's ever played in, period. And he played pro ball down there in Baton Rouge. So,
I remember that.
Yeah, just really, as far as the series went, man, I think that Saturday game was so huge, because, we kind of we just got thumped there in the late innings. The bullpen had a rough outing in that second game, but then you're worried about how the guys are going to respond. And just to come out there and get that series win. And now you see we're either ranked in some places or kind of right there flirting with it. So, and then the Ole Miss series, They outscored us 39-38. So let's look. That's 3 SEC series now. We got outscored by a great Ole Miss team by 1 run
Yep.
overall, and then we beat A&M, and we just beat number 13 LSU. So looking pretty good, man.
So the important thing for me is that we have in SEC play so far beaten the people either we should have beaten in terms of series wins or had the best opportunities to win. So that I think that's the great thing about this. Yes, the history part of it is important, right? To end those streaks, make sure they don't become
they get annoying.
Yeah, 2 decades things. But then for you to take care of business, because as I was addressing here, the murderer's row of SEC play continues. Number 2, Vanderbilt. Number 3, Mississippi State. Let me just keep going for you. South Carolina, who they're not ranked right now, but we know they've won a national title in baseball recently, so that's not going to be easy. Tennessee, who's just surging right now in baseball. Arkansas, number 4 at the end of the year. I mean, it's not really going to get any easier. So you really want to set yourself up for success. So when you do hit some of those teams, they're going to cause you some bumpiness, that it doesn't hit you as hard, because we're not going to win every single series. It's just not going to happen with a murderer's row like this. But like when you look at this team, what's the most surprising thing for you so far that they've been able to accomplish in this short part of the season?
Well, man, first off, everybody that decides to pitch to Sonny, just know that it's stupid, but I have respect for you. I do have respect for you.
Yeah.
Like, because, hey, let's play ball, man. Yeah, my guy's batting 500. He's batting 500. He's right there. So come on, throw him the ball. Let's find out what happens. So just I'm surprised that a guy's maintained that elite of a level. I mean, we're 3 weeks into SEC play now, and he is just still hitting it. And it's just it doesn't, the pitching, like, we know that it seems like it's those first couple innings, right? Like we're always in this 2 to 3 run hole, and then we have to battle back and everything. But I guess what would surprise me, man, is just this. They just kind of seem to find a way to get it done. I mean, that crazy South Alabama game, 15-14. They just kind of find a way to hang in there mentally and find the way to get the job done. And then a win like that this weekend can really get you going, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing we did, I think, one of our first live streams, just kind of looking at the week that was and the week ahead. We talked a lot about this road stretch, Texas A&M and LSU, how important it was going to be overall, but just how important to take each series at a time and just take care of your business there. And look at the end of it, we walk away with 2 series wins in the SEC. Whether they're ranked or not is really not part of the discussion right now. But you can also, if you want to have that as part of the discussion, look at how, as you brought up, well they performed against Ole Miss. Yeah, they killed us in one game. We killed them in another game. There's a reason 39-38 total runs in that series ended up the way it is. Auburn's offense is not the question. The question is, can they give themselves less and less of a hold to work in? And will the pitching not bite them in the end? I think that's the biggest question for me right now.
If you had to say it's the game, regionals, we got to go to a guy. Are you saying Chase Bright's the guy you would trust the most?
I guess so. I mean, it's got to be him. Hayden Mullins has shown a lot of grit.
His last couple outings have been great.
Yeah, and there's a reason that they're trusting him with that first game of the series. That's no joke. That sets you up for success. Right. I think you're putting Chase Bright in your position because you're in the second slot, because you're anticipating him either getting you the win if Hayden Mullins pulls it off, or trying to keep you from losing the series in the second game. I think that's what's probably going on there. And it really, to me, it feels like we're a third, and I don't mean this solid like we don't have solid pitchers, but a solid third starter away from this team being super, super deadly. But I don't know who that third one's going to be.
Yeah, I agree, because you can see it. Yeah, because I completely agree, because every time they post, like, they'll announce the weekend starters. You got your 2, and then you got your 2 be determined.
Yep.
So so it's like I appreciate you, Russell. Love you, buddy. Um, there's always to be determined, and then that game kind of seems like a bullpen effort, and then and the last that one that is kind of the concerning part is that I don't want to mispronounce his name. Is it Buckhalter, the closer?
I think it's Burkhalter.
Burkhalter. Okay,
Yeah.
he's had to come in those two wins this weekend. He had to come in the seventh.
Yep.
And shut it down. Now he came in and he shut it down, especially in game 3. He came in, bang, bang, bang. When they were coming back, and that's great. But you wish you kind of had that guy that around like the 6th or the 7th that you could squeeze in there. So if one of those guys in the bullpen can kind of become a setup guy, so then we can go to him, get him. And he hasn't had any problem throwing up into those 40s, he's 50 pitch range. But you still wanted to keep it to where he's coming in the 8th instead of maybe in the 7th.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has had to work a lot of extra innings lately, and they don't play as long of a schedule as professional baseball, but it's still going to wear on you over time. And if you're a guy that's used to working 2 innings, and when you're working 4 on average right now, it's going to wear down to you, and that's going to cost Auburn in some situations if he's having to come in a little bit earlier than intended. But I feel really good about us for the most part, pitching at the end of the game, middle of the game. It's just that front half, if our 2 guys don't get off to a good start, we're in a hole there. But thank goodness we have the offense to pull out of those things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you look at some of these guys and they put their numbers up. You're just like, whoa, a lot of these guys are really hot now. We hope it's not necessarily like a basketball situation where it's that tails off. But I mean, like I don't think Sonny's gonna cool off anytime soon.
I have as I told you before, my new favorite thing is the Sonny DeShera Pizza Guy song. And
I'll be there Saturday. I'll finally get to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good stuff there. I may not make it to Saturday's game. If I do, it'll be like on the outs. I think what I'm gonna try to do is go take a peek up on the deck. I've been up there once or twice, but then I'm going to go out to that outfield section out there and just watch the game from the out. Because, they opened up that back part of the fence for fans to just walk back there and watch from that vantage point.
So I didn't know you could do that. No.
Yep. They're trying to, I think, encourage everybody to take advantage of being a part of that. Because, they can't stop the people in the parking deck from doing it. And while they're not the best seats in the house, you get a pretty good view of what's going on up there. So I think it's kind of one of those things they're learning to embrace the other aspects of inviting people to just come stop by and see it. Because most people, they understand baseball's going through a time, not just college, where viewership is down, interest is down. So they're trying to do things to speed up the game. They're trying to do things to encourage people to take advantage of being able to stop in and see it. And if they walk past the outfield fence and catch an exciting moment, it's like, I kind of missed that. I want to be in there and be a part of that. So it's a strategy, I guess.
The game-winning catch was a Thursday night for us. First off, move the bench. Why is that bench there? People were getting hurt all weekend.
Yes. Why? It's awful.
Their guy got hurt and he's out. Look, he broke his neck.
Yeah. Was it Josh Hall, our guy, who ran into it?
Yeah. Great play, kid. Great play.
I felt so bad for him because you saw him make the play, and he does the thing where I'm okay, I'm down, and and then it's like, all right, the pain's too much. I can't fake it off anymore. And
adrenaline,
it's one of those situations where you're so proud of him, but you're also worried about him because of how bad he went down when he tried to take a step. I was like, oh man, is that leg broken? Is that leg, just really sprained or something, like a leg sprained that we didn't see, an ankle sprain? But yeah, that was an odd scenario. Yep. It was an odd scenario that entire weekend that kept happening. It was really frustrating. Devin says that was some play. Glad he was able to walk it off. Yes, I agree. I've also been impressed for the most part, and I haven't watched every game as intently as some of the other ones I have watched, but I think we've played pretty good defense. Whether that's Case and Howell, I think the infield defense has been really good. What have you thought about the overall defensive play?
Yeah, I mean, even I guess I should have just brought a Sunny D bottle on here tonight. Even Sonny, I mean, I mean, you see him stretching out, getting down there, digging them out. Like for a big fella, man, I mean, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of stupid mistakes or stupid errors or anything. It all seems to be pretty crisp and pretty clean. And it really just the main thing for our team right now just seems the consistency in pitching, like
Yep.
the abilities there. Obviously, we know that we got a couple of arms that we can go to, and most of the times that they're going to do their thing. So maybe another guy in the rotation step up, and then a couple of guys in the bullpen step up, man. And I saw a projection today where we're in a regional, obviously, like you said, hard schedule ahead of us, long way to go, but that's certainly ahead of where I saw everybody had us projected to finish.
Right.
And it's like we talk about in every sport, man. When Auburn is when you can't on paper the Auburn Tigers because it ain't gonna.
Yes, yeah. You can't on paper the Auburn Tigers beat us, but we certainly will beat ourselves. So there is that aspect of it too. Let's see. I think I was actually thinking about this. I'm going to call him Tosa as opposed to TOSA. Defense cost us one game, really the first game against Ole Miss. Probably so. I mean, that's the game where they, killed us and we returned the favor. I was thinking here, since he brought that up, only one instant where I can think of a bad defensive play where there was lack of communication. And I forget which series and which game it was, but there was a infield pop up and they all ran into each other and it ended up not really hurting us all that bad. But that's the only time I can think of a bad defensive play from the Tigers this year. Yeah. So if we're having a hard time coming up with games and moments, that shows you that the defense is there. We know the offense is there. We know the late inning pitching seems to be pretty solid. The middle relievers seem to be able to hold their own. All that's missing is this getting off to a good start pitching wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking about a Tiger team that's pretty deadly to play. LSU found out, Texas A&M found out. So we'll use this to segue to this next week at UAB. How you feel about that game?
I get scared when we play UAB in anything.
I do too. Yes.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm glad that we don't put them on the football schedule. Like, I know where a lot of people say that thing about Auburn and Alabama don't really play Troy and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want any business playing. I don't want Troy or UAB or any of them coming in that way. I don't want any part of it. So yeah. Haven't we played them already and we beat them pretty solid?
We probably I'll do a quick scroll through. And I mean, typically you see in a season like this with so many games, we rotate. It used to home and away in midweek games with these guys. Jacksonville State, we've played. I feel like we have played UAB. Maybe that was the game.
I think we played them and beat them.
We did 16-1.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't. Let's do it again. And then. Just the important thing to me is like about momentum, and you have spoke on the importance of these midweek games. And the one last week was the first one that we lost. So I think we're 4-1 in the midweek games. So let's not make that a trend. Let's keep doing, let's win. Let's get this one. I'm not 16-1. I'm going to feel pretty confident about this one right here. And then obviously the Saturday crowd will be huge, but all these crowds have been great. Every time I see it, it's been the best numbers in a long time for Auburn as far as crowd goes. So I know the fans will be there this weekend. I know everybody's going to be in town. They're going to be fired up. I guarantee you will hear me and my little brother if you watch the game on Saturday. So yeah, man, I'm excited. And if it's one of them series where Vanderbilt is so good that like if you're just competitive and you win a game, then the other two you show that you belong, you're going to be fine. Like they're definitely going to respect the SEC when it comes time for the regionals and all that. You don't even necessarily have to have a winning record in the SEC to be able to get into a regional and something like that. You just got to show that you were there and competed amongst the best. So, but let's say, boy, if we could win that series, then wow, then you're really talking. So I think this week is it's a good measuring stick. I got really hyped up one night on Twitter like an idiot and talked a bunch of trash to a bunch of Vanderbilt fans about baseball specifically. So I'm kind of hoping that Auburn helps me out.
That Twitter will get you into trouble sometimes. You gotta be careful with it. It's addictive.
You know me, Kyle. I always keep it clean and classy, man. It's just when you get to talking about my Tigers, son.
I know. It'll get you. Here's what I've learned on Twitter: the mute button is your friend. Because the funny thing about that I've noticed about on Twitter. Sorry, this is a tangent. This is not even baseball related. So sorry, viewers. Is the people that want to put others on blast for blocking them. Like I get it to a certain degree. That it's kind of childish, but if you're getting blocked because you're being annoying, I kind of understand it too. My thing is, look, just mute them. They don't know that they're muted. You never have to see them, and then that's that. That's my thing. There's plenty of people on mute. That's all I'll say.
Joseph Goodman blocked me.
Did he really? See, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like, you probably gave him a little bit of the business, but you didn't give him that much, did you? Oh, Joseph.
If I was Joseph Goodman, I'd have blocked me.
Okay, all right. Well, at least he's being honest here. At least he's being honest. Devin says it can be so addictive. Sometimes I type a reply just to get it out and then delete it. That's a wise thing. Anytime I want to type something, whether it's my personal account or especially the E2C account, I type it out and I go, and then think about it, for a second. So good rule of thumb.
I had several of the Kentucky basketball fans this year. Several of them.
But listen, Kentucky had it coming. Kentucky had it coming all season. These Arkansas fans on our YouTube channel that are still there. So I'm sorry. I know another quick aside is this whole thing about, I asked the question in one of the videos, who was the best team in the SEC? Of course, they're all saying Arkansas. And I asked them to be objective. I even said, try to make a case for another team. Not one of them's doing it. They're always giving this one response, and then you counter with another one reason why they're not. And they're like, well, no. It's just Arkansas. I never thought that I would think that way about them, but yeah. I have a weak Twitter game, so I just like the good retorts. Well, that's probably the best place that you can be on Twitter, is enjoy the chaos and just maybe dip your toe in every once in a while. But anyway, all right. I need a prediction from you, Dusty, before you get out of here. I need. It sounds like you're predicting a UAB win, even in Birmingham. But I want a series prediction from you. How many games, if any, will Auburn take?
Okay. Vanderbilt. There's a method to the madness here.
Okay.
Vanderbilt smokes us all 3 games.
Okay. Reverse psychology in us here.
I just have not been good lately. So
okay, all right. I see the strategy, and I respect
my bracket.
Yeah, Dusty. I was going to bring that up, buddy. That's bad. Hey, the only person that was worse than you, I think. Well, there's a few other people. Is my good buddy Ben King. I know you don't know him that well, but he was one of the founders of this with me. He's been at dead last in the bracket challenge all March Madness. Like, he ain't never seen anything but like 119 or whatever the amount what we had entering it was. Like, it was embarrassing for him. So,
a lot of of all the upsets that happened, I picked the opposites. It is just whatever.
That's why it's madness. That's why it's madness.
And hey, I haven't watched a game of it since Auburn went out, so I don't really know it. If it ain't about Auburn, I don't know about it.
I think you should, if you can, tune in tonight. It's going to be a fun one, I think. 2 really good teams. Walker, I think, is still in town supporting, since he was there for the Naismith Award, his former team. So, there's a part of me that kind of wants to vicariously support North Carolina for Walker, but Auburn's not there, so I get it.
Yeah, my Lightning got a game. So
I got it. So he's like, I'm out. I got other sports to worry about. Well, hey, buddy, thank you for talking to us tonight. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. War Eagle, man.
War Eagle, man. Always glad to hear from Dusty. You guys can take advantage of that too. We will go ahead and close down the phone lines tonight. We usually do a little bit shorter of shows for this, and I know that most of you are ready for that basketball game, even though it's like still 40 minutes away from starting. But that's the main thing I want you guys to take away. I think we talked a lot about the softball situation. Not a great trend dropping series for them right now. It is going to get tougher for them too. But I like where our offense is. The great thing about baseball and softball right now is the offense is there. If the pitching holds up in different circumstances, they're going to be sitting pretty at the end of this thing. And great start for baseball, showing some life against Ole Miss, who was number 1 at the time, and then winning the next 2 series. It's going to get really tough for them, but I'm excited for what they are doing and the potential of what's on the table for them for the rest of the season. So we will be doing another one of these next Monday night. Hope you can join us, 8 p.m. Invite a friend. Let's keep growing this little family within the Auburn family. Remember, tomorrow night, going live again, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Austin's going to be here. We're going to break down the entire Auburn basketball season, just kind of talk from beginning to end. We'll try to keep it within an hour there. We want to have you here for comments and questions. We'll take from that, but it'll mainly just be me and Austin discussing. And then Wednesday night, so we've always done live, 8 o'clock Eastern time. You can call in, comments, questions. We really just bounce around all over the place. I'm sure it will be A-Day heavy. And then, of course, as I've said, make sure you are tuned in for all the coverage we'll have from campus this weekend for A-Day. I will be there, and I hope you can join us at our meetup, 11 a.m. Central Time at the very beginning of Tiger Walk. Come up. Don't be shy. Let's shake hands, share War Eagles, all that stuff. We'll hang out during Tiger Walk, and then if you guys want to a little bit after, we can stand around and chat it up and even some more things like that. Other things I want to remind you of before you get out of here, check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content. One of those is just smashing the like button. Several of you already done that. Thank you so much. Making sure you're subscribed with that notification bell. And then one of the things, check out that channel membership program. $1 a month is all it takes to help support the content here, keep the lights on, help me buy new equipment, all that kind of stuff. Thank you to so many of you that already do that, and our Booster Club members as well. Guys, you are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're the best, the best, the best, and I hope to see you guys here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, my friends, War Eagle, and enjoy the basketball games tonight, even though